start with a fundamental question. What is your reality now? Let's take a moment to think about this question, and many of you are seated right next to strangers, a group of strangers, united by this common purpose at this amazing venue, Muchikbao Anhantai. Pardon my Dutch. And this is unlike the art experiences you've had before, and I hope after tonight this will change. I would like to invite you on a journey through this transformative realm of interactive art and exploring how technology is able to change us and change the way we experience art. Have you been to an art museum like this? Shout out if you've been to the Rijksmuseum here in Amsterdam. And what about this one? If you recognize it, this is Tate Modern. Anybody from London? So I often wonder, why are those artworks behind the glass box or behind an intimidating cordon? And I often wonder how people are experiencing them. Are they experiencing them from afar, closer to other spectators? Or is it more with more well-known work and people tend to act with caution, and with less well-known work and people tend to connect over a glass of BHA? That's a beer for non-Dutch speaker. And my interest lies in the opposite. I wanted to explore, what if we could dismantle that barriers? What if we could connect and create space and allow people to connect with each other, with the work and with the space around us? And my journey to becoming an artist started in a small village in Yueyang, in China, where I had such a big dreams, and I would frequently go to museums in Shanghai and to visit galleries and to look at big art exhibitions. And there was this very special memory that ingrained my mind up until this day. It was in a ginormous room, it was dark, and the sound of the raindrops filled the air, and I saw people darting through the rain without getting wet. And I wanted to give it a try, so I stepped onto that platform, and I got wet immediately. So I wanted to find a safe space, and I wanted to find a place where I could stay dry. So I looked around, and then everybody where they stood, and it was completely dry, it was fine. So I often wonder, up until this day, I still don't understand why I would not be able to stay dry. So I often just invade other people's bodily space and trying to find a safe zone for myself. And quite often people are welcoming with their open mind, and often with smile and laughter. And I wonder, maybe because I looked like a wet dog, and maybe, So, and I imagine, can you imagine if you do that in a public space when it's raining and you just go under each other's umbrella without getting consent? That was when I was 19, and I decided I wanted to create this shared experience. I wanted to create that immersive environment to connect people. And that's what I did. I became an artist. And in my work, I used technology. I used technology to create this immersive experience, interactive installations and performances. And to demonstrate very quickly, I would like a moment of darkness. So I'm holding a mobile phone, and as I move around my body, I'm holding this phone very tightly to my chest, like hold on to my life. So I would move my body this way, and you can see the lighting in the space is me trying to connect with you. It's me trying to use the digital technology to connect with you and to cross over this shared bodily space, and vice versa. And then when I do something different, if my body allows, and the space becomes a shared tool for me to communicate with you, for me to create this overlapping shared experience. And this is called The Light. It was exhibited at Tate Britain during a late Tate event. So how does it work? It involves 6 wearable sensors and a light installation. And visitors were invited into a space where they were told very implicit instructions, and they were given the sensors, and they don't really know how to interact with the installation. So quite often, they would start going around in front of the installation, trying to interact with it, but not knowing really what to do. So they look at each other, and they're trying to figure out the implicit interface and how they would be able to trigger a different lighting pattern. And gradually, and they start to compete with each other. And this competitiveness was built upon during that environment. And then later, something else happened. And they started to play games with each other. And this emergent gameplay was instigated during that set of environment, because I think it was the reminiscent of play, making them forget they were in a public space with a group of strangers. And this has led to the further development of moving photon. This is a work that involves a light installation again, and with several different modes. The first mode is a performance mode. I would like to play this video with all of you. So as you can see from this video, the work consisted of a translucent tubing mounted on 6 linear robotic actuators. And they were responding to 2 participants sitting there, live streaming out their EEG data, electroencephalogram data, out to control the linear motion of the installation, and therefore to create this improvisory environment for the dancer to react. And the EEG data from the motor and visual cortices were then hyperscanned in real time to govern the formation of the installation. The participants' perception of the installation from the sensory motor region, this is where I was placing my interest in, because the inspiration actually also came from one day I realized sometimes when you look at a dance performance or a video where it involves breakdancing or something that heavily moves in the video, and then your body wanted to subconsciously want to move along with it. That subconscious movement was sort of an embodiment and a representation of your thoughts that you can't see and can't touch. So I wanted to visualize that sort of invisible connection between you and the space. And then the second mode involves an installation, which participants were able to interact within the environment without a performer or EEG. And what's most interesting to me was that, similar to the lights, the work I just described, and people would start, due to the implicit interface, figuring out how they would react in the space, and then trying to figure out and follow each other what they were doing. And then gradually, I think the most amazing thing to me happened was that at a moment in time, they forgot they were in a public space, and they started thinking this is a dance club, and they started dancing like as if no one's watching. And I think that's the most beautiful I've ever seen, because only then I realized I have reconnected with my 19-year-old self and created this space where people could truly find joy and experience the freedom. So how does technology change the way we experience art? It's creating connections, it's challenging norms, it's expanding our bodily experiences. And as we grow older and our reality becomes smaller, it's constrained by society expectations and constrained by the social norms. And next time when you go see an artwork, think about the way that you are communicating with the work. Is it just through by taking photos? Or you connecting not just only with the work, but also with the people around you, and creating this version of reality that you are sharing with your fellow participants. And I think technology is not just changing art, it's changing us. It's creating connections, it's creating this sense of joy, and it's allowing us to let our guard down. Thank you so much for listening.